John Marston is one of the many beloved characters associated with the Red Dead Redemption series. Not only are we blessed to have him as the main protagonist in the original Red Dead Redemption, but we are also given the wonderful opportunity to utilize him at the end of the second Red Dead Redemption, after the devastating demise of Arthur Morgan. Not only do we get the privilege of playing with Marston once more, but we also get the taste into what his life was like before the original Red Dead Redemption. We get to witness his own personal failure as a father, a husband, and even a man. In this time of turmoil for John, he is alone and afraid, with nothing but his trusty steed by his side. However, this won't stop John from achieving his goals. After the fall of Dutch's gang, Marston became homeless and without a camp. He also experienced the loss of many friends and family. To mend this tragic wound of John's, he must travel far and wide to locate a new potential camp, and along with it, some new friends. Join me in this video as we make our way across the vast world of Red Dead Redemption 2 in hopes of discovering a new beginning for John Marston. The key to locating camps in Red Dead Redemption 2 is to locate pillars of black smoke rising in the sky. This is the easiest way to find camps in the game, and you are also able to spot them from a considerable distance. The first camp that I had discovered was located in the heartlands of New Hanover, right on the side of a cliff. I was excited to interact with the occupant of the camp in hopes that he would accept me into his crew, considering I had just lost everything. As I approached him, he greeted me with,
"What the hell are you doing here?"
and I responded with,
Ain't you serious? I thought it was a free country was all.
I'm sure I could have come up with something a bit wittier, but you have to remember this is Marston we are dealing with. Unfortunately, the man was not accepting visitors and quite aggressively pulled his firearm on me. Now, purely in self-defense, I had to take control of my own life, so I too pulled my firearm and shot. Once he was down, I could have sworn I saw him reach for his gun again, so I did the only thing I could do. Although this man attempted to murder me, I felt somewhat sorry for the situation. I pondered on my thoughts as I left in a hurry to locate a new potential friend. I was on the hunt for camps, and I searched far and wide and eventually found myself meandering near the cliffs of New Austin near Armadillo. I thought to myself, who would set up a camp out in the desert? Only a crazy man would. I wasn't sure that I wanted to become friends with a crazy man, but I was left with very few options, so I decided to keep searching. It didn't take long before I spotted a plume of black smoke, which could only mean one thing: a camp and an occupant. I made my way around the cliff's edge and slowly approached the camp. I placed my gun in my holster so that I could avoid scaring the individual at all costs. He immediately demanded that I leave his camp, but I felt that I could talk some sense into him. That was until Rachel, my horse, defecated all over this man's camp. The man noticed this and became enraged, and I was sadly left with one option. If Rachel hadn't done what she did, then perhaps I could have made a new friend today, and this journey wouldn't have been a waste. I calmly let Rachel know that what she did was inexcusable, but she didn't take kindly to that and resorted to violence. Now that I had a mad horse, a black eye, and still no friends, I figured that I deserved something out of this. So I grabbed the stranger's hat, which fit perfect, and I went on my way in hopes of finding someone who would accept me into their camp. I eventually found myself on the complete other side of the map in Lemoyne near Blue Water Marsh when I came across a few hillbillies arguing back and forth about random nonsense. It appeared that they were struggling with their canoe, and I thought, what a perfect opportunity to make some new friends. However, as soon as I began to approach them, they became very confrontational and instantly pulled a firearm on me. I quickly got the message and tried to turn around and walk away. However, the good-for-nothing hillbillies began firing at me, and I was ultimately left with no choice other than to fire back. I quickly took out what appeared to be the leader and proceeded to take out the other half-wits as well. It was a sad day for John indeed. It truly is rough being a lone wolf cowboy. After encountering those good-for-nothing degenerates, I was beginning to feel a bit lost in my ways. Since I was in the area, I felt that revisiting an old home would soothe the pain. I made my way towards Beaver Hollows, the final camp that Dutch's gang occupied. Unfortunately, my jaunt for nostalgia was quickly hindered by a large group of even more hillbillies. I was enraged by these individuals, considering they were not too keen to speak or even interact with me. They were merciless, godless, and selfish individuals, and I wanted the old camp and cave back for the keeping. So instead of running away like Marston is known for, I stayed and fought. It was a good fight, and eventually I powered my way through to the end of the cave, accomplishing a major feat that most would be unable to withstand. After realizing what a dump this place was, I decided the hillbillies could keep it. I had a goal to achieve anyways, and staying in this smelly cave would not help me succeed whatsoever. Soon after the battle, I continued my search for potential companions. As the night crept in, I decided to continue my journey on the train tracks heading west away from Annesburg. I felt that avoiding the dirt path would be the safest option, considering there are many dangerous folks around in these parts who enjoy taking advantage of kind folks such as myself. Eventually, I noticed another plume of smoke rising in the sky and knew there was a potentially friendly camper just waiting for company to arrive. After encountering many angry individuals who were always quick to question my harmless intentions, I had to take extra precautions before approaching a camp, especially at night. I examined the camp through my binoculars, but the image was blurry and extremely unhelpful, so I decided to just risk it and run up on the camp. I pulled my firearm because I had learned my lesson from the previous camp experiences and wanted to remain prepared just in case this individual was also unkind. He must have heard me coming because as soon as I came up to the camp, he was already on the run. I desperately needed this man to understand that I meant no harm, so I pulled my lasso in an attempt to prevent his depart from me. He began to fire at me with no hesitation, and Marston must have had an aneurysm because for some reason he would not utilize the lasso. Rachel, my horse, became spooked and launched me off her back and ran away. I then realized that bounty hunters were on my tail as well, and with so much commotion happening, I had to think fast if I wanted to remain alive. My options were becoming limited, so out of frustration, I took out the angry camper and began my attempt to stop the bounty hunters. I quickly learned that the angry camper was not running from me, but instead running from a mountain lion, which unfortunately made quick work with me, considering I was not aware of its presence. When I awoke, there was no plume of smoke in sight, no mountain lions, and no bounty hunters. Sadly, my hat was also missing. I gathered myself and moved along once again. I was very disappointed in the fact that I had lost my new hat, but I couldn't let that ruin my desire for achieving my goal. I started following the train tracks back the way I originally came in hopes of coming across a new camper located near the swamps. As I wandered through the night and made my way south on the beaten path, I came across a couple of individuals attempting to break open a safe that they had robbed from a carriage. I thought to myself, these were my type of guys, and perhaps they would be interested in having a third companion tag along. I didn't even want any of the money they had taken. Unfortunately, they weren't too fond of the idea of me joining their gang, and a good thing at that because shortly after interacting with these fine gentlemen, they were both blown to pieces by their own doing. I guess they weren't fully trained on how to properly utilize dynamite, and perhaps if I had come along much sooner, then I could have proven to be useful. I wasn't too disappointed though, considering they had successfully opened the safe, and it was easy money for myself. I guess their lives were worth about $20 each, and I made my way once more. At this point in my journey, I had pretty much given up hope in locating a new friend to experience the Wild West with. It felt as if everyone I had run into wanted nothing to do with me and even would try to rid me from this world. I was lost and scared and most of all, emotionally hurt. I decided to try and locate one more potential camp before I would walk into the lake and not return. I spotted a smoke column from the distance and began to make my way to what I assumed would be another failed attempt at making a friend. I had a gun out at the ready just in case this camper got any bright ideas just like the others, but as I approached, I noticed he was sound asleep, snoring away by the warm fire. I didn't want to wake and anger him, so I slowly approached as silently as I was capable of. I stood next to him and watched him in his peaceful rest. Shortly after approaching him, he woke up from his slumber and slowly lifted himself up from the ground. I was expecting a fight, just like the others, but to my surprise, he said,
I don't take usually kindly to company, but you can stay.
I was stunned. This was the first individual to accept me in their camp, and I was overflowing with joy. I traveled far and wide through endless terrain, interacting with many harsh people, always getting nowhere. And finally, on my last attempt to make a friend, I had finally accomplished my goal. I can now relax, I thought to myself. I'll call him Coffin Dodger, and together we will embark on many exciting adventures. I sat myself down and began relaxing by the warm fire in my new camp next to my new friend and enjoyed a pleasant conversation with the Coffin Dodger.
I hear you.
I guess some company ain't so bad.
I thought that I had done it. I thought that my search was now over, but shortly after meeting Coffin Dodger, he demanded that I leave.
God darn it, no. just go on and find someone else to hassle.
I certainly had no intentions of leaving. He did not find my persistence too appealing, and he pulled his firearm, just like the others. I made a quick sigh and slowly stood up. I knew what had to be done, and it took everything in me to do it. Maybe in another life, we could have been friends. Maybe he wouldn't have pulled his weapon and threatened my life. Over in the distance, I noticed Rachel standing there, looking majestic as ever. Was what I had been searching for right in front of me all along? Had I blindly been searching for a friend when there was one with me this entire time? I had taken Rachel for granted, just as those dirty campers did to me. In other words, I was no better than those who turned their backs on me because I had done the same to Rachel. Maybe everything will be okay. Maybe I don't need a camp with a new friend because I've had a friend the whole time who never left my side and never pulled a weapon on me. Camp is where the heart is, and the heart is with Rachel. Thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, please hit that like and subscribe button. It is a great way to help me and this channel out, and I greatly appreciate it. Please share in the comment section what your thoughts were about Marston's adventure, and as always, have a great gaming experience.